let's be real. Money fights are one of the biggest causes of stress in families. It's not just about the dollars and cents. It's about what those dollars represent. Money touches everything. Our security, our dreams, our responsibilities, and yes, even our self-worth. When two people come together in a family, they bring their own histories, habits, and beliefs about money. Maybe one of you grew up in a home where money was tight, so you've learned to save every penny.
Meanwhile, your spouse grew up in a family where spending was how they showed love. You're both coming from different places. And when those perspectives clash, it creates conflict.
But here's the truth. Money isn't the problem. The problem is how we communicate or don't communicate about it. Think about it. Money is the one thing we deal with every single day, but it's also the thing we're most afraid to talk about. We avoid the hard conversations because we don't want to argue, or we assume our partner just gets it.
And when we do talk about money, it's often during moments of stress. Maybe a bill is overdue or a big expense comes up and suddenly you're arguing about whose fault it is.
Those arguments aren't really about the money. They're about unmet expectations, miscommunication, and sometimes a lack of trust. When we don't talk about money openly and honestly, it builds resentment, and that resentment shows up as conflict.
Now, here's the good news. Financial conflict isn't inevitable. It's not something you're doomed to deal with forever.
You can avoid those fights and build harmony in your family, but it starts with understanding where the conflict comes from. Most money fights boil down to three things: different values, poor communication, and a lack of shared goals. If you can address those three areas, you'll eliminate the root of most financial arguments. First, let's talk about values. Every family places value on different things. Maybe you value security, so you want to save for an emergency fund. Meanwhile, your spouse values experiences, so they want to spend money on travel or family outing.
Neither of you is wrong. You just have different priorities. But when you don't understand each other's values, it can feel like your partner isn't on your team. The key is to recognize that your values are different and find ways to honor both. Maybe you save a set amount each month for the emergency fund while also setting aside money for a family vacation. It's about compromise and balance.
Second, communication is everything. You can't expect your partner to read your mind when it comes to money. If you're feeling stressed about bills or worried about your financial future, say something. If you're excited about an opportunity to invest or spend, share it. The more you talk about money, not just when there's a problem, but on a regular basis, the less likely you are to have those big blow-up fights. Create a safe space for these conversations. Sit down together once a week or once a month. Look at the budget and talk about what's coming up. Be honest about your feelings and listen to each other without judgment. Finally, shared goals are the glue that holds everything together. When you're both working toward the same financial goals, you're not just managing money, you're building a life together. Maybe your goal is to pay off debt, save for a down payment on a house, or plan for retirement. Whatever it is, write it down, make a plan, and hold each other accountable. When you're focused on a shared goal, the little day, today disagreements about spending or saving seem a lot less important. Instead of arguing over who spent what, you're celebrating the progress you're making as a team. Here's the bottom line. Financial conflict doesn't have to tear your family apart. When you understand the roots of those arguments, different values, poor communication, and a lack of shared goals, you can take steps to address them.
And when you do, you're not just solving money problems. You're building a stronger, more unified family. So start today. Commit to having the hard conversations, to listening to each other's values, and to working together towards shared goals.
Because when you're on the same page about money, there's no limit to what your family can achieve. Let's get to work.
If there's one thing I've learned in my years of helping families with their finances, it's this: silence around money is dangerous. When couples and families avoid talking about money, they're not protecting each other from stress. They're setting the stage for bigger problems down the road.
Let's face it, Money isn't just a part of life. It's woven into everything we do. From the groceries you buy to the roof over your head, every decision you make as a family has a financial component. So if you're not talking openly and honestly about money, how can you expect to avoid conflict? How can you expect to work together as a team? Communication is the foundation of financial peace, and without it, you're building on sand. Let's start with why we avoid these conversations in the first place. For many people, talking about money feels uncomfortable. Maybe you're afraid of being judged for past mistakes or nervous about revealing just how tight things really are.
Maybe you're worried your spouse or family members will say no to something you really want. Or maybe you just don't know where to begin. Whatever the reason, avoiding the conversation doesn't make the problem go away. It makes it worse. Silence creates misunderstanding, and misunderstanding creates resentment.
And before you know it, you're arguing over things that could have been resolved with a simple conversation. Open and honest communication about money isn't just a nice idea. It's a game changer. It's the difference between a family that fights about money and a family that works together to solve problems. But here's the catch. Good communication doesn't happen by accident. You have to create a space where it's safe to talk about money without fear of judgment or anger. That means sitting down together without distractions and committing to have regular conversations about your finances. Think of it like a team meeting, because that's what you are, a team. And every great team needs to communicate to win. When you start these conversations, honesty is key. That means putting everything on the table, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Talk about your income, your debts, your spending habits, and your financial goals. Be transparent about the things that scare you and the things that excite you. If you've made mistakes in the past, own up to them. And if you're worried about something in the present, say it. Honesty isn't always easy, but it's the only way to build trust. And trust is the foundation of every healthy financial relationship. But honesty goes both ways. You also need to listen, really listen to each other. Don't interrupt. Don't judge. Don't jump in with solutions before the other person has finished talking. Sometimes the simple act of listening can be more powerful than anything else. When your spouse or family members feel heard, they're more likely to open up. And when they open up, you can start working together instead of against each other. One of the most powerful tools for open communication is creating a habit of regular check-ins. Don't wait for a crisis to talk about money. Schedule time every week or every month to sit down as a family and review your finances. Look at your budget. Discuss upcoming expenses and make decisions together. These check-ins aren't just about numbers. They're about connection. They're a chance to align your goals, celebrate your progress, and address any concerns before they turn into conflicts. The more you talk, the easier it gets. And the easier it gets, the stronger your family becomes. Now, let me address something important. These conversations won't always be easy. You might disagree. You might disagree. You might have moments of frustration or tension. That's normal. The goal isn't to avoid every disagreement. It's to handle them with respect and understanding. If you approach these conversations with the mindset that you're on the same team, you can navigate even the toughest topics. Remember, the goal isn't to win the argument. It's to find solutions that work for everyone. Here's the bottom line. Money fights don't happen because people are bad with numbers. They happen because people aren't talking. Communication is the bridge that turns financial tension into teamwork. It's the glue that holds families together, even when the budget feels tight or the bills are piling up. So don't wait for the perfect moment to start the conversation. There's no such thing. Start today. Sit down, be honest, and listen to each other. Because when you communicate openly and honestly about money, you're not just solving problems. You're building trust, unity, and a stronger family. Let's get to work. Let's talk about something that has the power to transform the way your family handles money: shared goals. Imagine this, you and your spouse, your family, all rowing in the same direction. No tug of war over spending, no arguments about priorities, just a clear, unified vision of where you're going and how you're going to get there. Doesn't that sound like the kind of peace and clarity we all want? The truth is, financial conflict often happens because we don't have shared goals. Instead, we're pulling in different directions, each of us chasing what we think is most important. But when you come together as a family and set shared goals, you're creating a roadmap for your finances, a way to work together instead of against each other.
Why are shared goals so powerful? Because they give you something bigger than the day. Today expenses to focus on. Let's face it, most money fights aren't really about the money. They're about what the money represents. Maybe one of you values security and wants to save every penny, while the other values freedom and wants to enjoy life today. Those are both valid perspectives. But if you don't have a shared goal, those differences turn into conflict. A shared goal shifts your focus from me to we. It's no longer about who's right or wrong. It's about what you're building together.
So how do you set shared financial goals? Start with a conversation. Sit down with your spouse, your partner, or your family and talk about what you want to achieve. This isn't about numbers yet. It's about dreams. Where do you see your family in 5 years, 10 years? What kind of life do you want to create? Maybe you want to buy a home, pay off debt, save for your kids' college, or plan for retirement. Maybe you want to start a business, travel, or give generously to causes you care about. Whatever it is, put it all on the table. This is your chance to dream big and dream together. Once you've shared your dreams, it's time to prioritize. You can't do everything at once, so you need to decide what matters most. This is where compromise comes in. Maybe one of you really wants to pay off debt, while the other is focused on saving for a vacation. Instead of arguing over which is more important, find a way to do both. For example, you could allocate a larger portion of your budget to debt repayment while setting aside a smaller amount each month for a vacation fund. The key is to create goals that reflect both of your values. When everyone feels heard and included, it's easier to work together.
Now that you've set your priorities, it's time to make your goals specific and actionable. Don't just say, we want to save money. Say, we want to save money. Say, we want to save $10,000 for a down payment on a house within 2 years. Don't just say, we want to get out of debt. Say, we want to pay off our $20,000 student loan in 3 years by putting $600 a month toward it. Specific goals give you a target to aim for, and a timeline keeps you accountable. Write your goals down, review them regularly, and track your progress as a team.
But setting goals is only half the battle. You also need a plan to achieve them. This is where your budget comes in. Your budget is the tool that turns your goals into reality. Every dollar you earn should have a job, and those jobs should align with your goals. If you're saving for a house, make sure your budget reflects that. If you're paying off debt, build your budget around those payments. A budget isn't restrictive. It's empowering.
Yeah.
It gives you control over your money and ensures that your spending aligns with your priorities. And don't forget to celebrate your progress along the way. Achieving financial goals is hard work, and it's important to acknowledge the milestones. Paid off a credit card. Celebrate. Hit a savings goal. Celebrate. These moments remind you why you're doing this in the first place and keep everyone motivated to stay on track. They also reinforce the sense of teamwork and unity that shared goals create. Here's the bottom line. Shared financial goals aren't just a nice idea. They're essential. They bring clarity, focus, and unity to your family's finances. They turn money from a source of conflict into a tool for building the life you want. So take the time to dream together, prioritize together, and plan together. Because when your family is united around shared goals, there's nothing you can't achieve. Let's get to work. Let's talk about the one tool that can completely change the way your family handles money, the budget. I know. Some of you just rolled your eyes. The word budget has a bad reputation. People hear it and think it means restrictions, sacrifices, and saying no to everything fun. But let me tell you something. A budget isn't a straitjacket. It's a game plan. It's not about limiting your freedom. It's about giving you the freedom to spend, save, and achieve your goals with confidence. A budget puts you in control of your money instead of letting your money control you.
And when your family commits to a budget together, it's a total game changer. Why is a family budget so powerful? Because it brings clarity and eliminates guesswork. Without a budget, money just disappears. You get to the end of the month and wonder, where did it all go? A budget answers that question before it happened.
It tells your money where to go instead of wondering where it went.
But more than that, a budget brings your family together. It forces you to talk about money, prioritize your goals, and hold each other accountable. Instead of fighting about spending, you're working together to stick to the plan. And that's a recipe for financial peace. Now, let's be honest. Creating a budget isn't the hard part. Sticking to it is. That's where a lot of families struggle. They sit down, make a beautiful budget, and then life happens. The car breaks down. The kids need new clothes. Somebody forgets to pack a lunch and eats out instead. Before you know it, the budget is blown and the stress creeps back in. But here's the thing. A budget doesn't fail because life happens. It fails because we didn't plan for life to happen. It fails because we didn't plan for life to happen. A good budget is flexible. It accounts for the unexpected. And most importantly, it's something you revisit regularly to adjust and improve. So how do you create a family budget that works? First, get everyone involved. A budget isn't one person's responsibility. It's a team effort. Sit down together as a family, look at your income, and write down every expense.
Start with the essentials: housing, food, utilities, transportation. Then move on to debt payments, savings, and discretionary spending. The key is to be realistic. Don't underestimate your expenses or overestimate your expenses or overestimate your income.
And don't forget to include categories for the things that matter to you as a family, whether it's vacations, hobbies, or giving.
Once your budget is on paper, assign every dollar a job. This is called zero-based budgeting, and it's a game changer. Every dollar you earn should have a purpose, whether it's paying a bill, saving for the future, or funding something fun. When you assign every dollar, there's no more guessing, no more overspending, and no more stress about whether you'll make it to the end of the month. It's all there in black and white, and everyone knows the plan.
Now, here's the big one. Stick to it. This is where discipline comes in. Following the budget means saying no to impulse purchases, resisting the temptation to overspend, and holding each other accountable.
But it also means saying yes to your goals. Every time you stick to the budget, you're one step closer to paying off debt, building savings, or achieving whatever goal you've set as a family. And that's worth far more than any quick splurge or convenience purchase. Here's a pro tip. Build some flexibility into your budget. Life is unpredictable, and your budget should reflect that. Create a miscellaneous category for unexpected expenses, and don't forget to include some money for fun. A budget that's too strict is a budget that's doomed to fail. Balance discipline with flexibility, and you'll find it much easier to stay on track. And don't forget to review your budget regularly. Sit down at the end of every month to see how you did and make adjustments for the next month. Celebrate your wins, learn from your mistakes, and keep moving forward. The budget isn't set in stone. It's a living document that grows and changes with your family. Here's the bottom line. A budget isn't just a financial tool. It's a tool for building unity and peace in your family. It turns money from a source of conflict into a source of collaboration. It gives you the freedom to spend without guilt and save without fear. And most importantly, it helps your family stay focused on the things that matter most. So sit down, create your budget, and commit to sticking to it. Because when your family is on the same financial page, you're unstoppable. Let's get to work. Let's get real for a second. No two people see money exactly the same way. In every family, there are different financial personalities at play. You've got the savers who get a thrill from watching their bank account grow, and you've got the spenders who find joy in buying that little something extra. You've got the risk takers who are ready to throw it all into the next big investment, and the security seekers who want every penny safely tucked away in a savings account. These differences can feel like a recipe for conflict, but let me tell you, they don't have to be. In fact, when you learn to embrace and balance these different personalities, they become a source of strength for your family. Think about it. If everyone in your family was exactly the same, you'd have blind spots. A family full of savers might never take the risks needed to grow their wealth, while a family full of spenders could find themselves in financial chaos.
The beauty of having different financial personalities is that they complement each other. The saver keeps things grounded. The spender adds enjoyment to life, the risk taker pushes for growth, and the security seeker ensures stability. When you learn to appreciate these differences, they stop being a source of frustration and start being a tool for balance.
But here's the thing. Appreciating different financial personalities doesn't mean ignoring the challenges they bring. If you're a saver and your spouse is a spender, it's easy to feel like you're constantly at odds. You might think they're reckless and they might think you're boring. Those feelings can lead to arguments, resentment, and a lack of trust. That's why it's so important to communicate. That's why it's so important to communicate, not just about money, but about the reasons behind your financial behavior.
Why do you save?
What drives your spending? When you take the time to understand each other's motivations, you can start working together instead of against each other.
Compromise is key. If you're the saver, recognize that not every dollar has to go into a savings account.
It's okay to set aside money for fun and enjoyment. It's part of living a balanced life.
And if you're the spender, understand that saving isn't about denying yourself. It's about building a secure future. Find a middle ground where both perspectives are respected.
For example, you might agree to allocate a certain percentage of your income towards savings while also setting aside a budget for discretionary spending. This approach ensures that both personalities have a voice in the financial plan.
And let's talk about accountability. Different financial personalities mean different strengths and weaknesses, and that's okay. The key is to hold each other accountable in a way that feels supportive, not controlling. If you're the saver, help the spender stay on track with the budget, but don't lecture or micromanage. If you're the spender, remind the saver to loosen up once in a while, but don't guilt them for being cautious.
Accountability works best when it comes from a place of partnership and trust. Another thing to consider is how these personalities influence your kids. Children pick up on how their parents handle money, and they often adopt similar habits. If you're a saver, teach your kids the value of discipline and planning, but also show them that it's okay to enjoy what they worked for. If you're a spender, show your kids how to spend wisely and responsibly, but also teach them the importance of saving for the future by modeling balance and respect for different approaches to money. You're raising kids who will be better equipped to handle their own finances. Here's the bottom line. Different financial personalities aren't a problem. They're an opportunity. They give your family a richer, more balanced approach to money. But that balance doesn't happen automatically. It takes communication, compromise, and accountability.
So take the time to understand each other's financial habits and motivations. Find ways to work together that honor everyone's perspective. And remember, this isn't about changing who you are. It's about leveraging your differences to create a stronger, more unified financial future. Let's get to work. Let me tell you something that will shape the future of your family for generations. How you teach your kids about money. Whether you realize it or not, your children are always watching. They're listening to the conversations you have about bills, noticing how you react to financial stress, and observing the choices you make with your spending, saving, and giving. You might not sit them down for a formal lesson on money, but make no mistake, They're learning from you every single day. The question is, what are they learning?
Are you teaching them good habits, discipline, and responsibility, or are you unintentionally passing down the same financial struggles you're trying to overcome? The legacy you leave isn't just about wealth, it's about wisdom.
Teaching your kids financial responsibility starts with one simple truth. They need to experience the connection between work and money. If your children grow up thinking money magically appears from an atom, money magically appears from an atom or your paycheck, they'll never understand its value.
That's why it's so important to give your kids opportunities to earn money, even from a young age. Whether it's chores around the house, mowing lawns, or babysitting, kids need to see that money is earned, not entitled.
When they feel the effort that goes into earning a dollar, they'll think twice before they spend it impulsively.
But earning money is just the first step.
The real lesson comes in teaching them what to do with it. Every dollar your child earns is an opportunity to teach them the three most important principles of financial responsibility: saving, spending, and giving. Start by helping them create a simple system, a few jars, envelopes, or accounts for each category. Teach them to save a portion of their money for future goals, to spend some responsibly, and to give some to help others.
This isn't just about money. It's about building character. Saving teaches them patience and discipline. Spending wisely teaches them decision-making. And giving teaches them decision-making. And giving teaches them generosity and compassion.
These are lessons that will stick with them for life. Let's talk about saving. When you teach your kids to save, you're not just teaching them to set money aside. You're teaching them how to set goals. Maybe it's a new bike, a video game, or a big trip they want to save for. Help them figure out how much it costs and how long it will take to save up. Then let them experience the satisfaction of reaching that goal through their own effort. Saving isn't about denying themselves. It's about empowering them to achieve what matters most to them.
And that's a lesson they'll carry into adulthood, whether they're saving for a car, a home, or a secure retirement.
Now, let's address spending. Kids need to learn how to spend money wisely. And the best way to teach them is to let them make mistakes while the stakes are low. If they blow all their spending money on a cheap toy that breaks the next day, don't bail them out. Let them feel the disappointment and learn from it.
That's how they'll start to understand the difference between needs and wants, between quality and impulse buys. And when they make a smart spending choice, celebrate it, reinforce the idea that spending isn't bad. It's about making thoughtful, intentional choices.
And finally, let's talk about giving. This might be the most important lesson of all. When you teach your kids to give, you're teaching them that money isn't just a tool for personal gain. It's a way to make a difference in the world.
Whether it's donating to a charity, helping a friend in need, or tithing to your church, giving teaches kids to think beyond themselves. It shows them that true wealth isn't about how much you keep. It's about how much you can give. And when you raise generous kids, you're raising kids who will make the world a better place. But here's the thing. Teaching financial responsibility isn't just about words. It's about actions. If you want your kids to save, spend, and give responsibly, you have to model those behaviors yourself. Show them how you create a budget, prioritize your goals, and make sacrifices to stay on track. Let them see you saving for something meaningful, spending wisely, and giving generously.
Kids learn best by example. And when you lead by example, you're not just teaching them, you're inspiring them. Here's the bottom line. Your kids are the future of your family, and the way you teach them about money will shape their lives in ways you can't even imagine. Take the time to teach them the value of work, the principles of saving, spending, and giving, and the importance of responsibility. And most importantly, show them that money is a tool, not just for achieving their own goals, but for helping others and leaving a legacy. Because when you raise kids who are financially responsible, you're not just setting them up for success. You're building a legacy of wisdom and generosity that will last for generations. Let's get to work.